there, it's Stephanie from Mommy Standard Time, where we save minutes and savor moments. Welcome to my channel and welcome to Vlogtober. So if you are new here, I am posting a new video every day in the month of October because I love fall. It's my favorite season. So one of the ways that I love to savor moments with my children from the time they were very little has been to read with them. Having a little baby on your lap, reading to them, oh, there's just nothing better. Because of that, and because of my teaching background, I am a bit obsessed with picture books. So much so that we actually do have a little tote of seasonal books for every holiday. And what I do is I just keep them in a little tote and I put them behind the regular books. And so that each holiday I pull them out and they haven't seen them all year and the kids are really excited to look through the books. So today I pulled out our Halloween books and I thought I would go through some of my favorites. I won't go through all of them because honestly, some books are, they're fine. They're just not my favorite. So if this interests you to have like a collection of seasonal books, but it's just not in your budget, the first tip I wanted to give to you is to go to your public library. I did get a few for this video from the library because they're books we knew we loved, but I just didn't have them in our collection yet. So go to the library and you'll notice that they'll probably have these exact same stickers. But if you just cruise the shelves, they have stickers for the different holidays. And so find the Halloween books, find the Christmas books, and you'll have a nice little basket of books to share with your children for that season, and they will love it. So you don't have to buy the books in order to have your own basket of seasonal reading material. Another way that you can build your seasonal book collection is to buy them the books for that holiday, for their gift. So for Easter, I always give them an Easter related book in their Easter baskets. And so over the course of the many years that I've been a mom, we have built our collection because each child receives a book, and then after they've enjoyed it for that period of time, I sneak it into the seasonal bins, and then they're surprised and excited to see those books when the holiday rolls around again. There are a lot of inexpensive books that you can find through like Scholastic book orders. Sometimes the dollar store has great options. So again, it doesn't have to be expensive to build your seasonal book collection. But I know if I look at the back of all of these, they say, this is only available through the school market. So these are the Scholastic specials. Usually book order for the schools has books that are like $1, $1.50. And so it really doesn't cost much. Plus it supports your child's classroom because the teacher gets free books based on how many people order. So it's a great option to find more books for a really cheap price. And the stories are simple, but they're fun. And it's just great to have a few more to choose from in your seasonal book collection. So without further ado, let's get started with my favorite fall picture books. So this book is super sweet. It's Peekaboo, and it's great to read with toddlers, young children. It has different characters that you would see around Halloween time, and each of them, they're playing peekaboo. So their hands are covered, and it's a lift the flat book. So like for Frankenstein, guess who? Pika, mumbles the monster. So it's really, really cute. Another book that's great for young children, especially those who might get a little bit nervous around Halloween time. I had one who went through a phase where Halloween was very, very stressful whenever we would go to the store because there were monsters and things at the store. So this was one of our favorites, especially for that child. It's called No More Monsters. It's a board book and it is a great one. It has a cute rhyme. My mommy and daddy tell me that monsters are not real. They tell me that they don't exist, but that's not how I feel. And so they go through and eventually he decides that he wants to set a trap for the monsters. And so ours is well loved, but look how cute. It's a little pop-up with a trap with some pepperoni pizza in there. And then he wakes up and the monster trap is empty. Spoiler alert. He discovers that there are no monsters. So this is a really, really fun book. It doesn't have to be just for Halloween time, but it's a great bedtime story. So then if you don't celebrate Halloween, there are some great just seasonal books for this time of year. One is The Leaves Are Falling One by One. This is a fun one because it takes a tune, so the ants are marching one by one, and it puts it in the book. The leaves are falling one by one, hurrah, hurrah. and you just go through, and the illustrations, I just love the fall colors. It has representation of different races, so I like the diversity in the book, which is nice. So this is just a fun one. And then another one that's not really Halloween related is Pumpkin Town. So this one is a lot of fun. It has some really interesting illustrations. And basically it's the story of a family that farms pumpkins. And every year they save their pumpkin seeds from their best pumpkins. And what do they do with the ones that they don't save? Oh, they just kind of put them off in the field and don't worry about it. But what happens is a windstorm comes and carries those seeds to the neighboring town, and chaos ensues. And they realize that they made a mistake, so they go to fix the mistake, and the town rewards them with watermelon. And so then they have all these seeds from the watermelon to deal with, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger of what happens to those watermelon seeds. That's a fun book as well. So it's also fun to include counting books with your holiday books. So this one is 10 Timid Ghosts. And this is a fun one because a witch wants all the ghosts out of the house. And so there are different ways that the ghosts leave one by one. You know, 10 timid ghosts in a haunted house, a witch moved in and wanted them out. And then, you know, one saw a skeleton, blah, blah, blah. It's a sweet little rhyme. And you go through the whole book, and then at the very end, all the ghosts are out and they've got to figure out what to do now. So it has a fun ending as well. Another great story for this time of year especially is The Little Old Lady Who Was Not Afraid of Anything. This is one of my favorite stories. Kids like it because it has some predictable text. This little old lady who is not afraid of anything goes for a walk in the woods, and she starts kind of getting followed by different articles of clothing one by one. And each article of clothing makes a different sound. And so that's where the predictability comes from. So my kids always liked to join in, especially when they weren't able to read because they feel like they're reading. Two shoes go clomp, clomp. And then one pair of pants goes wiggle, wiggle. And it goes through the whole list by the end of it because she's got this whole trail of clothing following her. And eventually it turns into this monster who knocks at the door and she's like, "I'm not afraid of you." And the monster's like, "But that's my job, is to scare you, scare people." And so she comes up with this idea for how the monster can still get their scares in. So it's a really, really fun story. If you have never read it, I highly recommend it. So another great story that I wanted to share, it's not Halloween related necessarily, but it has to do with a monster. And so Fly Guy, this is a great book series if you have a reluctant reader at your house. Because the illustrations are really high interest and the text is quite simple, but the stories are so funny that it's really great for students who are just learning how to read and the cat sat on the mat are just not keeping their interest. So this series is about a boy and his pet fly, and they're always really funny. Fly Guy usually gets into some mischief, and so in this book, Fly Guy and the Frankenfly, he's created a monster. And so you got to figure out what happens there. Another must-have for Halloween especially is the story of Spookly the Square Pumpkin. So if you've never heard of this story, obviously Spookly is square, all of his friends are round, and he's feeling a little bit left out because all of his friends can roll around. And they discover that there's a problem with that because a storm comes up and starts blowing all of his friends through the hole in the fence. And so Spookly has to think of how to solve this problem. Being a square pumpkin, he realizes he can toddle his way over to that hole and plug it up. So all of his friends are safe. He saves the day. The farmer saves his seeds so that he can have more brave pumpkins like Spookly. And then they end up with a pumpkin patch full of pumpkins of all shapes, sizes, and colors. It's a great message. And it ends with, you know, maybe one day we will all discover you can't judge a book or a pumpkin by its cover. So it's got a great message. Great, great book. So this is one that I grabbed from the library because we love the Click Clack Moo series. So this book series is about Farmer Brown, and he has very mischievous animals, especially the duck. The duck is like the ringleader, and they get into all sorts of trouble. And so in this book, Farmer Brown does not like Halloween. See, he's grumpy. And he starts getting he starts hearing these kind of spooky sounds. And so the suspense grows throughout the book. You know, he hears creak, creak, creaking, tap, tap, tapping, and eventually the duck is inviting him to a Halloween party. And so you kind of see what happens there. I think I'll just share one more. So this one is funny for adults too, but mostly I really like sharing this with older kids because it has kind of a reminiscent feel. You know, when kids start to get to like 11, 12, they start talking about, remember when I had that costume? And they start talking like it's so long ago, and it's so cute. But this book especially, because Jerry Seinfeld, he writes it in a reminiscent feel. And he talks about when he discovered Halloween for the first time. And I think this is my favorite page, when he's talking about discovering everyone we know is just giving out candy. And it just has that feel to it. It's a really funny book, really well done. And it's the story of him wanting his dream costume, and it has a really sweet ending. So definitely check this one out too if you have never read this book. So I hope that by sharing these books, it has sparked some ideas for you if you are trying to build your own seasonal book collection, or if you'd like to gift a book to a child for Halloween, or if you'd like to support teachers in building their classroom libraries with some seasonal books. I hope that this gave you some good ideas. If you'd like to continue to follow along with my Vlogtober shenanigans, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. And if you're feeling really ambitious, go ahead and click the like button for this video so that other people can find it. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.